Oh, that's a big thing too. Who can participate? Welcome to live chat. Remember your guard and privacy. Abide by the rules. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, so it looks like we're going to be operating from this side. Huh. That's pretty bright. Dun, dun, dun. I'm sorry, Rocky. Now, so this is going to have to go sitting over there like that, if you wouldn't mind.
Over here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Set it back up by about, let me see from
Well,
this distance. I'm going to see it from here.
Let me get it in here. We're gonna have. We gotta take this off.
Oh, well, turn it off there. We're live.
I'm sorry, it won't fit.
Lean on it. Anything. Here, just lean on it. Yes, yes. See if you can lean those. Hey, guys. That's pretty far away. We're going to come closer with that and make it a little better, guys. Come on, a little closer. Everybody getting on. This is live. It's pretty rare for me to do it live. I'm going to try to do this. We're going to do this with as much ability as possible without getting ourselves in trouble. Okay. The reason this is like this is I got this light behind me, so I'm going to show you guys some stained glass. Now, I'm going to do a little adjustment, and we're going to be all set, and we'll be able to actually maybe look like we know what we're doing. How's that? Novel concept, isn't it? Welcome to the show, guys. I rarely go live. Primarily because I rarely get the attention it takes to make a live show look good. Now, let me clean up our face a little bit. Okay, big difference. What do you think? So, can anybody see live what's going on? I honestly can't see our tracking because nobody's going live with me. So you got to go live on the other phone, in theory, to be able to track it. Do you know what I'm saying? So that if we're doing this, now somebody out there, if anybody can get on, do tell me what you're seeing, because I'd like to know. And if there's a little spot you can see on the side that gives you text, tell me there, because I'd like to know. And then, for those of us that don't know about how to do this stuff, I want you to go ahead and make some suggestions down in the comments below. How's that sound? Now, if anybody has any questions, pose them. I'm going to go ahead and be able to look at that, find out. For all intents and purposes, because this is my first live show from this stage, I may not get it all right. Imagine that. So, for those who know, please help me out. Somebody could even monitor and tell me somehow, someday, how it went. Because right now, I ain't got a clue. And I'm about to give up on this right here. It says I can go ahead and spot things on here, but for the most part, view my channel. And you'd think that it'd say I'm live, wouldn't you? Except that's not my channel. Okay. So, if you looked at my channel, do you guys see me live? Let's see. It says live right now. Nothing. So, we'll see, guys. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to go ahead and show you stuff. A little bit of stained glass, a little bit of texture glass. How many of you know what texture glass is? That's when they press the glass while it's still hot. They used to blow a big bubble, just like this, except instead of plastic, it was glass. And then they get all blown up. They set it on the table. They cut this side off. They cut this side off. They split the side, and they lay it out flat. Now, better yet, if they wanted to look good, they'd add a whole bunch of metal and stuff like that. In other words, gold or arsenic or cobalt. And then that way they'd be able to get colors like you can see in here. These are all colors that were made with alchemy. Alchemy was how do you mix metals and melt sand to get beautiful glass. That's one example. A lot of these, as you can see here, all that beautiful glass in there. But that's just a texture on the back of the glass that makes it dimply looking. That's another type of textured stained glass. Now, this is even better. This has actually got the little diamonds. You can see some of these diamonds in there. It's almost like snowflakes, but the one in the middle is so unusual, the red one, and that one there, that's actually a French glue chip. And to make that glass, they glue with high glue, rawhide glue, they actually glue, and I'm going to bring this up close so you can see it. Yeah, about there, maybe you can see that glue right in there. Those chips, those are all made by rawhide being glued to the glass and then peeled off. And when you do that, oh, look at how beautiful that is. That allows you to go ahead then and have that texture. The difference between French glue chip and American glue chip is that the French will glue the hide to it and then peel the hide off and then peel the glass off the surface and make those beautiful long feathers. The Americans would just paint the hide glue on the glass and stick it out in the sun. And then it would chip up and cause the glass to chip when it dried. And that caused small little leaves. That's known as American glue chip. Here's another example. It's all dirty. But you can see some of the colors here as it goes in front. This is using diamonds and putting the glass in to a jam that could have been empty with other glass broken out of it. Or sash. This is a sash. Now this was set up so that you put the hinges on. See right here where the hinge was. And then this one you can open up to the ceiling and put down. Or you put it on the wall, open it up like this. This would be the exterior. This is the interior. See how the wood is. The other side has the glazing. Now I haven't cleaned this one up yet. We might pick one to go ahead and show you how pretty it's going to look once it's cleaned up. The idea behind it is, why not go ahead and use a piece of glass it's already made and not have to go ahead and melt sand. It takes a lot of heat to melt sand. Believe it or not, you're talking about over 2,000 calories per square inch to make glass. Now ladies, how many calories you got to eat to get 2,000 calories of food? Imagine you have to burn those calories to make glass. Every square inch of it is 2,000 calories. Now, if you want to talk about saving the planet by not burning and wasting so much energy, don't make a bunch more glass. Now in this case, I'm just going to wash off the dust, kind of wipe the dust away a little bit, just to give you an idea of how much prettier it is, just by cleaning the glass a little bit. In this one, you're going to see why we did it this way. We left the middle open. Now, this is the glazed side. This has been glazed for quite a few years, and so as the glazing gets old, it tends to want to separate. And if you don't replace it, the water will get in there and cause rot. So, a lot of the glazing is holding up real well, a little dark. You can lighten it up a little bit if you want to, you can paint it. But where it's breaking off, you're going to have to replace it. The hinges, these are already on here. You can find the hinge pin. This is designed to swing the other way. You can show this is the bottom. So this would swing this way, and it would swing from the inside of the house, that bevel on there, to close like this. This is what you would see inside the house. Now, let me get that glass. You see this glass again? Pretty nice behind there. Now, what you want to do, again, same as before, you want to spruce it up a little bit. You get that rag, a little bit of oil, and look how fast that will come to life. This is, again, fascinating because it really looks kind of ratty until you do something like this. And these will come to life too. So you're going to get a little oil on your glass when you do this. It'll come back off. Don't worry about it. It's a little hard to clean it up, but it'll come back off. So you don't try to get too much on it if you can help it. But you'll notice as I'm doing this, I'm trying to get these sides so they all darken up nicely. This is interior, again, of the window. So you're going to see all this. The outside, you won't see much of it. But if you don't do this, you won't be able to appreciate the color. So, this particular window is one of the examples we're going to be giving away in our auction. Actually, we may give this one away just for membership. Now, if I knew people were watching this live, that's what we're experimenting tonight, seeing if anybody watches it live, because anybody knows about it, or if YouTube or Facebook or anybody will tell you there's a live going on. But that's what's going to make the auctions especially good for the first few people, because if nobody knows about it and you're one of the only ones bidding on it, there's a good chance you're going to get it cheap compared to any other time. When you want to be in an auction is when there's nobody else there to bid against you. Now, if there's somebody else that likes it more than you, it can get expensive. So you always want to be able to consider being at the first auctions. So you got to get your membership ahead of time, your subscription on tinytexashouses.substack.com. So how does that work? Well, basically, if you get a low-end subscription, I'm going to have on there what your discount is going to be. And that means when you bid, say it's the low-end subscription, you get to bid in the auction. You don't get any discount for $5 a month subscription, but you get to bid. Now, let's just suppose you go to the next level up, and it's $150 a year. But now you're going to get a 25% discount. Whatever you bid, if you bid $100, it's going to cost you $75. So you can bid against somebody else who doesn't have the discount, and you can beat them. Now, if you go to the next level membership, that's going to be like your charter membership, and I'm going to be readjusting the prices. But initially, that might be $350 or $500. But if you do that, you're going to get 50% off whenever you bid. So if you bid $100 against somebody else, your $100 is going to cost you $50. That's right. So in other words, you're going to have a discount of $100, means 50 is what you'll pay at the end of the auction for every 100. If you go to the super membership, you can actually get, for $1,000, you'll be able to get, in some cases, 75% off. What's that mean? That means a lot. That means that on something like we were looking at before, a $10,000 set of doors, if you bid $4,000 on it, you're going to get it for $1,000. I hope that doesn't happen for my sake, but it could happen for yours. Again, don't let this lay out. This is the rag I used. We had this briefing in the other one. We'll keep making this mention. These rags will catch on fire when you're done using them. So you want to go ahead and make sure that you go ahead and hang them up, wash them out, lay them flat. But never leave them all bundled up. That's going to cause problems. In this case, I'm going to put a little water on here. Now clean this up, both sides, to give you an idea what it takes. You'll now have seen how little work and effort this actually takes to make this glass beautiful in a short amount of time. What do you think this diamond pane with stained glass, all oiled up, with a nice pair of hinges on it? This can be cleaned up a little more with brushes in there. Get into the fine detail edges. This is just a rough job to show you how it looks. Trust me, not detailed. This is just a real quickie, but this is the outside. There's your little hook. This is going to be, in this case, this window was used in a bathroom last time, so the outside wasn't really outside. The outside was still inside the house. So I like these, for example, if you want a bathroom window that carries the light into the house, this is what you can use. You'll notice the center is clear, and the outside of it has the colored glass. So that lets you see the light. Now, if you wanted more privacy, what you do is you go ahead and take some acid etching paste. You can buy it at the hobby shop. And the acid etching paste allows you to go ahead and just paint straight on the surface with the paste. Let it sit for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then wipe off the paste, and these will be opaque. Opaque means nobody can see through them, and you'll be able to go ahead and have privacy in the bathroom, but have light come through it, and have clear glass, not textured, nothing, just clear glass in the middle, maybe old wavy glass, And I'll show you how to tell if it's old wavy glass in a second. And then that allows you to go ahead and light up your bathroom without giving up your privacy if you don't want it. Now personally, if it's inside your master bedroom, why not have it be open for your sexy bathroom? And then you can go ahead and have your curtain on the other side if you want a little privacy. A little shadow for your husband to know how pretty you are and sexy behind that little glass window between the bathroom. Now if you want to go ahead and have more airflow in the bathroom, you open up the window, open up the bathroom window, and you get airflow into the bedroom that way. I do believe in having the airflow through a house, so if your air conditioner isn't working. Now, this isn't done super good, but I'm going to go ahead and show you a few things about the reflections. One of the things you look at in glass to tell if it's old glass is you'll see on the reflection of the clear glass how it causes the lines behind me in the glass to waver when it's moved around. Okay? Now, you can see here, now that I cleaned it, it's also more brilliant. And then you can see the wavy in the reflections of the glass. If you look through the glass, you'll see it, but if you look at the reflections of the clear glass, you'll see the wavy lines. That means it's old glass made before probably 1919. Now, this piece right here would be about a $350 to $500 window. So if you were to sign up tonight, get a membership, a subscription over on Substack for $150, I'd go ahead and commit this window to be yours, even though it's worth about $450. So that's an example of what I'm going to be doing. If this interests you, get in touch. You'll maybe email me. I'll make this offer for 24 hours. 24 hours. Now, some of the things you'll see here in this glass next to me is, again, that wavy bubbles. That's indoors as well. That's a bubble glass. On the back side, it looks like there's bubbles in it. Some of the glasses you'll see will have different kinds of texture. This is another good example. I have a whole doorway that has this. On this side, not so much. On this side, you can see all the little squiggly lines. Now, on a piece like this, it's clear. It's not meant to be colored, although it will turn purple over time in the sun if it was made in Germany or made in America with manganese for the lubricant. And that causes it to turn purple in the sunlight. Now this one, even the frame, see how it's like, now when you have an old piece of glass, stained glass, and you're valuing it, how much is that piece of glass worth? If you got the original frame on it, that adds about 40% value. So this piece of glass, when you spray it down and you look at it, that old paint, that's in good condition. The old glass, that's in good condition. And so if you tried to make that frame with all those little pieces of wood in there, oh my, you'd be spending yourself about $500 just to make the little frame. Then to glaze it on the other side, all these little triangles, you would have to spend almost $100 just for somebody to put on the glazing. Glazing holds the glass in. That would be on this side. This is called glazing. That costs sometimes as much as $1 an inch to put on. Whoever did this did a really lousy job. So this breaks off and you replace it, but you want to save all that glass. Now you see how pretty that glass is. I cleaned off a little bit of the dirt. And you can see a piece like this, believe it or not. See if you can see that. There you go. The colors in that glass are just astounding. Okay, so a piece of glass like this could be $500 in a heartbeat. Just for the colors. And that, you could expect to actually spend about $750 in a nice store. In other words, an antique store or something like that. Over here, I sprayed this, and what I'm going to do here is scrub it one more time. That's a little bit soaking time. And when you do that on these frames, that old paint will last. It's got a nice crackle to it. So you can actually take the paint, once you get the dirt cleaned off of it, And if you wanted to, put another layer of a milk paint on it, fill the cracks in with the milk paint, and then sand it again. If you do that, that should turn out looking pretty darn good. Now another thing, you see all the paint crack that's falling off of this. Some of that could be lead-based paint. If it is, just in case, don't eat it. Don't eat paint. And if somebody hasn't told you that before, I'm telling you now, don't eat paint. And if you see somebody eating paint, especially lead-based paint, do them a favor. Go up and smack them upside the head with a 2x4. That way they'll never do that again. Otherwise, they'll be stupid. Eating paint is bad. Now, you can get the particles in, and if you're doing this and it's not wet, which I've got it wet, you have to worry about the dust. You can breathe that dust in. But more importantly, and this is mainly for the children, this is why it's important. For children, if a child gets lead in their blood, it will hurt their memory, and it'll cause them all sorts of problems in life if you don't get it back out of their blood, because it will actually get into their brain. If lead gets into the brain of a child, it causes them severe memory problems. It causes all sorts of other things. Now, some of the symptoms would be black bags under the eyes, indigestion, stomach aching, stuff like that. You can have a child's blood checked for lead, or an adult, with a simple test. It's not very expensive. I highly recommend you do the expensive test if you are suspicious. But keep this in mind. Unless you eat it or ingest it, lead is not a big threat into your life if you have it in your house. It was used up to 1983. A lot of houses had lead-based paint in them. So what you want to do is don't eat it. Don't let your child eat it. So these particles I'm cleaning off of here, you would normally scrape that all really good, and then when you're done, when you put that oil on it, oil hardens up and causes all that paint then to stay stuck better. And it'll last for a long time. It's called encapsulation. So you can repaint with a coating on the outside or oils and encapsulate it so the lead won't fall off anymore in the future. And that can take some of the danger away. The danger for children is the biggest danger because they'll be going down by the bottom of the windowsill, and this paint, if it's flaked off, they'll go put their hands on there and then put their hands in their mouth. That's a big danger. So, my cautionary tale with stained glass, or with any kind of old glass, is that you need to be careful around children about the leaded glass issue. The leaded paint, rather. The glass, leaded glass won't hurt you. Leaded glass is harmless, because lead's not going to come out of the glass. The leading, this is called caming. So that stuff you see in the middle, that's made out of lead. That's how it gets the name leaded stained glass, because it's lead caming. Now, there are other kinds of caming. The caming is this little thing right here, this piece of metal. It's really soft because it's lead, and that's what holds the glass in place. Some of these, what happens is when you lay this glass in here, you're also supposed to then go and take and lay a plaster in here, and the plaster then fills in these cracks so the water won't run through them. Now in this case, some of these are a little soft. Just push on a little bit. See how they move maybe? There you go. That's not a great thing, but they're still solid. They're not rattling. So this is the other side of there. I'm cleaning it up because now you can see all that texture showing through. This is so dirty, unbelievably dirty. But again, the glass itself, if you want to cut it in triangles, it's going to take you a nightmare long time. And then you want to go ahead and make the leading, the caming, put it all together. You got to solder every one of these joints. And then you would have to go ahead and take the plaster and spread it all around and work it into the joints. It takes about a half hour, so it's a hard job. All these little joints I'm pushing on, even a little gap in there. You want to fill that gap up with that sludge. It's like a black sludge because you don't want it to show. So you make a black charcoal in there and then you rub that in. When you're done, about 30 minutes later, you got to go back down when it's dried out, before it gets all the way dry, and wipe this glass all down and get all that black sludge off of it. That's in case they're going to get rain on it. Now, if it's an interior window, you don't have to do that. In this case, this was actually on the interior. This came out of a school up in Missouri. And the school had the doors at the end. This is on the top over here on one side. There's a transom. One of these on the other side. Then another one of these long on this side of the window. Another one on that side of the door, rather. And then that was the end of the hallway. I have all those pieces. And the door. And the jamb. So I'm just showing you one piece out of that set. And you can actually own this whole set. This whole set. The door and all the pieces. How much will that be? I don't know. We'll have to see at the auction if we put that up. That's a pretty big piece to bring over here. I'm not sure I want to do that. But now in this case, I put oil on right away. That probably wasn't good. You see how much stuff came off. So I'm going to go ahead, before I do that, put a little bit of this on there. And go ahead and wash that down real quick. And then oil it. And if you take a look at that, even that little bit of oil I put on there, it changes the look of it pretty dramatically fast. So you could actually get by with, if you want to use this decoratively, putting it on the wall without doing a lot more than oil in it. And then if you did want to paint it, you can paint over this oil. So I've got this relatively cleaned up. I'll show you what it looks like. Put this rag like this just in case. Now, see the difference? Look at that glass now compared to when it was all dirty. Kind of nice with that. Now, bring this up to the texture. There you go. You can see the texture right about there. Look at that. Okay, other side is smooth. You see the texture through it. There you go. Looks like ferns. So, this is an excellent piece of glass. About 2 foot by 4 foot. Now these bars on the back side are flat bars. That means it's post 1900. When you see the round bars, that typically means it's pre-1900. So that's a way of telling the age of your stained glass pieces, if it has a bar. Now, when it's on wood like that, it's harder to tell. Or if you see pieces like this, the glass itself, which is so unique, here we go. Versus this, I'll show you close up the, kind of see, that's how texture in that versus texture in that. Totally different texture. So, samples again. I'm probably not going to want to sell these. They're pretty special. And then when it comes to texture again, this one, which you can see the color of from way over here. Lots of colors. But when you see the backside up close, lots of texture. And that texture is part of what gives it its special look. You see all the texture from that angle too. You don't see the texture from this angle. You see it from the backside, but it's a totally different look. See how it reflects most of that. There you go. So that's the difference between textured glass and just stained glass. Most people know stained glass. They don't know the textured glass. There's another kind of textured glass that also has that. I have a set of this particular style, and this is a real unusual one. It's in the diamonds. Oops. There we go. Again, diamonds. If you look at close, this is really dirty right now. I'm going to clean it up. This is leaded, but it's also Gothic. See this notching? Now that is actually kind of unusual. You don't see that. When this comes in. Now the benefit of that is the look. I love that Gothic look. But, okay, one of these is water, one of these is oil. Another quickie. Now normally this window's on the side, that would be the bottom. This is the top. Do a quick, just wipe down the glass. You see all the leading, same thing. Now this is one of the better versions. I have, I think, maybe eight or nine pieces of this. So you could have the upper and the lower sashes be done like this. Upper and lower window, so you have both sides done like that. Or you can use it as singles, which is what I've done in the past. By singles, I mean just have one window that tilts in, or just one window there rather than having two. Now again, over here, a little bit of oil goes a long ways on one of these to dress it up. Oh, this is an oil rag. So there, you can see how dark that wood really is. Again, probably a walnut. This is out of Europe, most likely. And the glass is one of the giveaways. It has a French bubble glass in it. Very, very unusual, hard to find. I doubt you could even find any more of it. Certainly not in America very easily. Now, one of the things about these kinds of glass when you're doing them, you have to be careful. The back, see right here, is trying to come out. And that's because the glazing is gone. And so it would fall out over time. So you have the glazing and little pins in it to hold it. You see the back on this one again, you'll be able to see, there you go, see some of the texture versus the front. In the front, yeah, there you go, you can see the texture there. There you go. Now, what that does is gives you an idea. Now, this has a broken piece in it. Normally, if you have a broken piece like that and you don't lose the piece, you can actually glue that piece back in and not lose it, because it's so hard to match the glass. It's better to have a glued in broken piece than to have no piece. So on this one, you'll notice right here how this moves in and out. Oops, I'm sorry, you can't see that there. I'm talking to myself. Okay, on this, I need to clean this side, and you can see the texture better. Okay, while I'm doing this, has anybody seen this style of window before? Have you seen this? Look how clear that's getting now. I'm cleaning the dirt off of it. And you'll notice it also has a slight tint to it, a little bit of color to it. The exteriors on all these are mattes. They're all red. You can paint them a different color, but that's the original color. And you can also tell they weren't painted any other color all their life. So that means that's probably one of the colors, primary original colors on the house. Even that little bit of cleaning does a heck of a job difference. So, on this side, watch what happens when I clean it up. This paint comes back to life really nicely. A lot of times I would actually try to match the old paint rather than try to come up with a new color. And when they have paints like this, you want to save the paint. You can still go back then and just oil with the thinner and oil over the top of the paint as well. So I'll put a little bit of this on here. And then that color will stay. Look how rich that red gets now. And then with the oil on it, it'll actually hold the color, much like the wood would do. So this gives it that little bit of a sheen for the moment. When that dries out, it doesn't stay shiny. You put several coats on it, you can do that. You'll notice as I'm doing this, the glazing along the edges is falling out. So we got to reglaze this, the same as you would a regular window. Now, I'll show you a little better view. See through the windows a little better, so all the way clean. See, you can't see it through and see somebody naked inside. You can't really see me through the window, which is what it's supposed to be. And if you look close, you'll see the texture now much better. There we go. See the texture? And that's the other side. You see the texture through it. So you really can't see, you see a shadow, but you can't see clearly through these. That's what makes them nice. I do have about probably 8 of those. They'll be matched. And if you're interested in those, these are typically going to be, depending on if they've been the ones that are damaged or not damaged, but you're looking at a window that's $350 to $500 a window. But if you have the discount, you might get this window for $100, $150 at the auction because you would bid $500, but you're only going to pay whatever your discounted version of that is. So why do you want to have a subscription? So you can bid, and then you want to have a bigger subscription so you get discounts when you bid. Now, for those who don't know, this is the cheaper version. This is European glass, and these were factory made. They're not very expensive. You can find them at auctions a lot of times. A piece like that might run you $75, $100, $150. And admittedly, they still shine up. They still look good. They're still pretty. But when it comes down to the value, they're not going to be as valuable as American glass. American glass is much more valuable, and it was because there's a lot less of it. When I say less of it, we weren't making stained glass over here in the large industrial version of it until later. One of the last cities that went industrial, in other words, they started building factories making instead of what we consider artisans, artist houses. When you got these repeat patterns, this is a common pattern you're going to see. You see I'll bring it up here where you can see this a little better. It's not particularly fancy, not particularly great glass. There you go. But it's also cheaper. This might be a $100, $150 piece of glass in a store. Might be as low as $50 in the auction. Might be $150 in the auction. Same idea. Now this has got more texture to it. Okay, and I'm going to show this to you in a second. We'll clean it up a little bit. You see the texture glass in this one makes it more valuable. And also those little spots, tiny pieces, makes it more valuable. Again, you can see the difference on the texture. I'm going to wash it, makes a dramatic difference. A piece like this, once more, it's a European piece, not an American piece most likely. And if it was an American piece, it's later on when they're doing more volume, mass made, in the sense of they've made this pattern hundreds of times instead of just once like an artisan might have done. So what you want to do, clean up the frames. You can save the frame. Always save the frame. You always want to go ahead and clean your glass up. If it's broken, you get a lot cheaper if there's a broken piece, but it's not cheap to fix unless you know how to fix it. Typically, a repair, you can spend $35, $50 on a small repair, but if you got to replace the glass, it gets a lot more expensive. If it's just a leading, it's broken. Now, for those of you who can see that gives you an idea through the glass what's there, but up close and personal. Okay, there we go. Okay, there you go. Then you can kind of see the light through there. Now this, again, is a cheap piece. Might be $100, $150 piece. If you got your discount 50%, means you get $75. If it doesn't get bid up to $100, you get it for $50 if you had a 50% discount, which is what you're going to be bidding with in my auction. So again, this is Saturday, and maybe Sunday, and then we'll try to do this during the week, give you a chance to buy them, and then on the weekends, do the auctions. So, please get a subscription, tinytexashouses.substack.com. If you have Venmo or PayPal, that's good to have, because that way you can go ahead and cash out at the auctions. Or you could go ahead and, I don't really want to run it through Substack. So we're going to have possibly one more pay gate that you can go ahead and participate in the auction with. So between now and then, if you're interested and you want to be in the auction and have a number and bid or have a name and bid, start writing me emails, get your subscription, $5 a month you can bid, or the more expensive version, get a bigger discount, and I'll go ahead and publish those on the Substack site. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you enjoyed the education, chance to see some of the difference between textured glass and stained glass, and textured stained glass, or just plain stained glass. But the idea in the end of it is, this isn't even all of it. This is just the first lesson. I have probably another 20 or 30 different styles of stained glass, some with wire in them, chicken wire, and decorative molded elements in the sense of they're textured and they have the chicken wire in them. really quite a few more. So come back and check it out. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Dang. Start a poll. Start a Q&A, See y'all later. Show won't stop. Yes.